T-minus too little time to lift off. No, 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 I said, pulling Cosmo close to me. Not Jupiter. Anything but Jupiter.
I'm really sorry, and I wish there were another way,
Eric said. I lifted my head from Cosmo's soft, squishy neck. But...
Don't squeeze him too tight right now, Pipsqueak,
Grandma Sadie said.
He's very sensitive at the moment. The space dust came from Jupiter. Sadly, he belongs there, not on Earth.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Cosmo, I said, and I loosened my grip. I don't want to make things worse for you. It's just so hard. I want to hug you and hold you forever.
I know, Piper. I know, said
Grandma Sadie.
I feel awful about it. But this is the best way I know to give Cosmo a chance to recover.
At least if he goes to Jupiter, he'll be safe from everyone at Mala, Claire said. She patted my arm. I knew she was trying to be nice. But when you're really sad, there's no at least that can make things better. How will we get him to Jupiter? I asked. Can I take him there? I'd never been to space before. It had always seemed exciting, and also really scary. But nothing was scarier than losing Cosmo. I'd take all the extra time with him that I could get.
It wouldn't be safe for you to go, Grandma Sadie said. We don't have spacesuits in your size.
Can we sneak out of here and go to the spacesuit store and buy one? I asked.
Spacesuits cost between $300 and $500 million to develop and make, Grandma Sadie said.
I felt my eyes grow wide. $500 million? I got $2 for my allowance every week. It'd take me way too long to save up that much. Maybe she can borrow a spacesuit, Claire said. I can wear yours, Grandma.
I'm afraid spacesuits need to be exactly the right size, Grandma Sadie said. Mine would be too big on you. And since we haven't sent any kids to space, we don't have one that would work. But don't worry. There are two very experienced astroblast explorers going on a mission today in... Grandma Sadie looked at her watch. T-minus 32 minutes to lift off.
Why do they say T-minus when they do countdowns? Claire asked.
T stands for the amount of time until the event, Eric explained. When T is at 0, it's go time. So we'd better leave right now, Grandma Sadie said. Okay, Piper?
I looked at Cosmo. I only had 32 minutes left. Then I'd miss him for the rest of my life. Okay, I said. There was a little secret part of me that hoped we wouldn't make it to Astroblast in time. I knew it was best for Cosmo if we did make it. but I didn't want to say goodbye. How will we get out of here? Claire asked. Won't the Mala people be looking for us upstairs?
They sure will, Grandma Sadie said. But in addition to a secret entrance, I also have a secret exit.
Grandma Sadie opened the cabinet under the Bunsen burner. On the outside, it looked like a regular cabinet, but inside, it was a tunnel. Before today, I hadn't been in any secret passageways. Now, I was about to go into my third. If I hadn't been so sad and worried about Cosmo, I would have been excited about it. This passageway was small. We had to crawl. Grandma Sadie bent down to go first. Then there was a buzzing sound.
What's that?
Eric asked. Just my phone, Claire said. Don't, Grandma Sadie started. But it was too late. She'd already answered it. Hi, Mom, Claire said. Oh, hi, Dad. It's both of you. Hey, everyone. You're on a video call with my mom and Dad. Where on earth are you? Claire's mom asked. We've been worried sick. I'm in a secret lab at Piper's grandmother's house, Claire said. I elbowed her in the side. Ow!
Piper McLean is with you?
Claire's dad asked. Yep, Claire said. See? She held up her phone, so I was on camera too. Piper, your parents are also worried sick, Claire's mom said. Tell them I'm okay, I said. I'll call you later, Claire told her parents. We have to go to Astroblast's head. I reached out and pressed the button to disconnect the call. Hey, why'd you do that? Claire asked. They're safer if they don't know what we're doing because then the bad Mala folks won't go after them, I said. They're my parents, Claire said. I'm sure they'll be careful and we can trust them. That's what you thought about your Uncle Ricky, I reminded her. I'm sorry, Claire said. You don't have to apologize. You trusted someone. There's nothing wrong with that. It's the sign of a good person, I said. We had reached the end of the tunnel. A tiny door opened and we were outside of the garage in the middle of the woods. You could barely see Grandma's place from there. Grandma took out her shoe key, this time placing it into the trunk of a tree. The garage door slowly lifted. Inside, there were a bunch of tarps, like the one Grandma had helped us put over the plastic shopping cart. With a dramatic, sweeping motion, Grandma Sadie pulled off one of the tarps. Underneath, there were two super cool motorcycles with little sidecars. No more shopping carts for us, she said. Helmets are on the wall. Grab one. It's T-minus 20 minutes to Liftoff. We need to hurry.
What you really need to do,
came a voice from behind us,
is hand over that space dust and that slime.
We turned to see Doreen, Uncle Ricky, blocking our path. 11. Just play along. How did you find us? Asked Grandma Sadie. Doreen laughed. It was so simple. There's a tracker on that little girl's phone. She's on the same family plan as Ricky. Uncle Ricky looked at the ground. Claire's face turned red with anger. He's not my family. He locked me and my friends up. He lied. He used our secret family knock for evil. I don't have an uncle anymore. Claire, I'm so sorry, Uncle Ricky started. But Doreen was quick to cut him off. Enough, Ricky. Hand over the slime and the space dust. I had an idea. I dug into my pocket and pulled out a bottle of glitter. It was never in the slime. That was just a camera trick. Here it is. Most people probably wouldn't have a bottle of glitter in their pocket. But I'm an artist. An artist always has supplies with her. You never know when inspiration will strike and you'll need to make art. And you also never know when your friend's uncle is going to lock you up and then chase you. Glitter comes in all colors. This glitter was silver and gold. Space dust looks exactly like Earth dust. Kind of gray and kind of brown and not at all interesting. Nobody believed me when I tried to give them ordinary, dull Earth dust. I hoped Uncle Ricky would believe that sparkly dust was more space-like. With a shaky arm, I held out the bottle of glitter. No! Grandma Sadie cried. Piper, you can't do that! You can't give it to them! She had tears in her eyes. I wanted to tell her that she had nothing to worry about. But of course I couldn't tell her because then Uncle Ricky would hear, and that would ruin everything. I felt tears prick my eyes too. I hated upsetting Grandma Sadie. But then she winked at me. She winked. That meant she knew exactly what I was doing. I should have known. Grandma Sadie had seen real-life gray and brown space dust. She was just playing along about the glitter. The tears were an excellent touch. She was a really good actress. No, she cried again. Quiet, Doreen said. She snatched the glitter container out of my hands. Yes, this is more like it, she grinned. Ricky, examine this. You're our space dust expert, she said, holding it up to Uncle Ricky. Uncle Ricky had an expression that I couldn't quite read. Finally, he said, That's some of the best space dust I've ever seen. Phew. They bought it. But out of the corner of my eye, I noticed two odd things. Cosmo was staying alive, hand. He was more yellow than green.
Wonderful. I'll take this back to the lab, and you get the blob in case the girl is lying. Take one of those motorcycles. Astroblast owes us for causing all this trouble, and they should have just given us the space dust in the first place,
Doreen said. Then she stalked off to her car and drove away.
T-minus 8 minutes,
Eric said.
To what?
Uncle Ricky asked. Cosmo, that's my pet slime, is very, very sick, and we have 8 minutes to get him onto a spaceship headed for Jupiter. It's his only chance, I said.
Get Cosmo to that launch before Doreen figures out that I just gave her a bottle of glitter and not space dust,
Uncle Ricky said. Huh? I said, thoroughly confused. You knew it was glitter?
I used to be a crafter too,
Uncle Ricky said with a small smile.
That was some quick thinking, Piper. Claire, you've picked a good friend.
Claire crossed her arms and turned her head away from her uncle. I'm not talking to you, she said.
I made a mistake,
Uncle Ricky said.
A big one. Huge. Gargantuan. I thought getting the dust was the most important thing. But of course it's not.
He turned to Claire.
The most important thing is family,
he said.
I'm going to the police to tell them everything and give them the proof that Mala has been up to some shady stuff lately. I'll get in trouble, but it's the right thing to do.
Uncle Ricky looked sad, but then his expression changed.
Whoa, that slime really is alive. Hi, little guy.
My sweet Cosmo had come alive for Uncle Ricky. Cosmo knew he was a good guy deep down. Claire looked at Cosmo, then looked at me. She knew what it meant, too.
I'm sorry that for a while I forgot how important family is,
Uncle Ricky said.
But that special secret knock on the door made me remember how much I love my brother and my niece. I'm so sorry about today. I don't know if I'll ever forgive myself for what I've done,
Uncle Ricky said. Claire uncrossed her arms and hugged her uncle. You should forgive yourself, Claire said. I forgive you. Besides, a lot of cool things happened today. I got to rescue someone, then get captured myself, then break out, then go bowling with dominoes, then ride a giant slide, then race in a shopping cart, and then eat astronaut food in a secret place.
And you're about to see a space launch,
Grandma Sadie said.
But we have to hurry.
12. Liftoff. I was riding in the sidecar of Grandma's motorcycle, and Cosmo, the greatest pet in the world, was in the lunch bag in my lap. Eric and Claire were right behind us. Cosmo was about to leave me to go to where the space dust was from. He was headed all the way to Jupiter. I could see the launch pad out in the middle of a huge field. The shuttle's engines were already revving up and making so much noise. Were we too late? Grandma Sadie shouted to be heard over the engines. Okay, this is as far as we can go on the bikes. The shuttle is still so far away, I shouted. It's not safe to get too close during liftoff, Grandma Sadie shouted back. I couldn't help crying. I felt tears tracing crooked paths down my cheeks. Cosmo lifted a tiny arm and wiped the tears away. 2 minutes, Eric called. Part of me wanted to miss the shuttle. Then Cosmo would stay with me forever. But I knew I had to be tough. Oh, you're the sweetest pet in the whole world, I said. I'm going to miss you so much. I miss you already. A man in an Astroblast Explorer's uniform came rushing toward us in a golf cart. What are you doing here? It's 1 minute and 42 seconds to liftoff. You need to clear the area immediately. I'm sorry, Neil, Grandma Sadie said. We had a bit of an emergency. Oh, Sadie, I didn't realize it was you. We need to deliver something to the astronauts on board. It must get to Jupiter as quickly as possible, Grandma Sadie said. Neil looked at his watch. The seconds to lift off were ticking by. 1 minute and 18 seconds, he said. I wouldn't do this for anyone else. You get off the tarmac. I'll deliver it. All right, Grandma Sadie said. She turned to me with her arms outstretched. Piper, she said. With Neil there, Cosmo was just a slime blob. Could he hear me in his blob state? I didn't think so, but I wasn't sure. I couldn't stop crying. I gave Cosmo a little hug. I knew I wasn't supposed to, but I did. The most love-filled hug I've ever given in my life. I didn't want to say goodbye, but I knew that he was alive because of the space dust, and the space dust belonged on Jupiter. I felt relieved for Cosmo. I felt sad for myself, and I felt angry at Earth for having the wrong kind of gravity. It's funny how you can hold all different feelings inside you all at the same time. With one last squeeze, I whispered, "Goodbye, Cosmo. You'll always be my best friend." Grandma Sadie took him gently from my arms and handed him over to Neil. My heart was broken. Grandma Sadie led us all to the observation room. Maybe I should have been excited to be watching a launch, but all I could think about was Cosmo. We walked up some stairs and into a room. I was barely paying attention. I may as well have been sleepwalking. Claire exclaimed over everything. Look at all these windows! They're the biggest windows I've ever seen. And wow, that must be the countdown clock. It is, Grandma Sadie said. 14 seconds to go, Claire said. Now 13, 12, 11. Only 11 seconds until Cosmo leaves Earth, and we're not even on the same planet anymore. I thought to myself. Eric joined Claire in the countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Grandma Sadie put an arm around my shoulders and started counting down to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Liftoff! There was a blast of smoke from the bottom of the rocket, and the engines fired with a roar so big and so strong that the whole room shook. For a few seconds, all we could see was smoke. But then it started to clear, and we saw the rocket lifting up and up and up. There were golden flames shooting out of the bottom. It went faster and faster, and the room erupted in cheers. Wowee! Claire cried. Look at it go! I've never seen anything move so fast in my entire life. Space shuttles can accelerate by almost 4,000 miles per hour every minute during the first 8 minutes after the launch, Grandma Sadie said. No wonder I can't see it anymore, Claire said. Claire, Eric, and Grandma Sadie all looked at me, excited smiles fading as they remembered why we were watching the launch, and why I wasn't cheering. Cosmo is so far away, I said softly. You did the right thing, Piper, Grandma Sadie said softly. Come on, girls. Let's get you two home. 13. Home again. Grandma Sadie drove me home. Mom and Dad were really happy when we walked in the door. They hugged me super hard. But when they let go, they looked really, really mad. Piper, you know better than to leave this house without permission. And without telling us where you're going, Mom said. Your dad and I have been worried sick. We sure have, Dad said. Now it's straight to your room, young lady. We'll discuss your punishment later. It's my fault. I'm too tired to explain right now. It's been a long day, Grandma Sadie told Dad. Just trust me when I say Piper doesn't need more punishment today. Mother, what in the world is going on? Nothing in this world, honey. Nothing in this world, Grandma Sadie said, plopping into the armchair. That's all right, I said. I'm ready to go to bed anyway. But before I could finish my sentence, Grandma fell asleep, sitting in the armchair. My mother sighed.
Okay, but I want it all explained tomorrow. Help me with this, Piper.
Mom and I gently covered Grandma Sadie with a blanket she had crocheted, and Dad gave me a kiss on the head.
Now, off to sleep,
he said. I climbed into bed and pulled the covers over my head. Then, I started wondering about things. Things like, what was Cosmo doing right now? Was he feeling any better as he got closer to Jupiter? Did he miss me? Would I ever see him again? All these questions swirled around inside my head like planets orbiting the sun as I fell into a deep sleep. I must have slept and slept. And then I heard some gurgling. I could tell it was morning because light from the window was coming in through my eyelids. I didn't open my eyes. I knew I had to be dreaming, and I didn't want the dream to end because Cosmo was in it. But this dream seemed awfully real. My heart started thumping as hard as it had when Doreen and Uncle Ricky were chasing us. What if it was Cosmo? But what if it wasn't? Maybe if I opened one eye just a smidge, I could find out without spoiling the dream. I opened my right eye, the teeniest of teeny amounts. And there, sitting on top of the covers, was the cutest, cuddliest, greatest pet in the entire universe. Cosmo! I cried. But then I lowered my voice. Better not wake Mom and Dad. If they came in and Cosmo turned into a slime blob, they'd think I was making slime in my room again. I'm not allowed to do that. I'd get into more trouble, and they might even take Cosmo the blob away. Or maybe he'd finally stay alive for them now that he wasn't as shy. Now that he was back, I wasn't going to let him out of my sight ever. Again, I pulled him into my arms and started to hug him tightly. But then I remembered, so I just gave him a gentle little squeeze. I don't want to hurt you, I whispered. I just missed you so much. Come on, let's tell Grandma Sadie that you're here. I held Cosmo in my arms and crept down the hall toward the living room armchair. Pipsqueak, Grandma Sadie called. Is that you? I turned toward her voice. She was sitting at the kitchen table, drinking a cup of tea. I was just about to wake you. Look who's here, I said, holding Cosmo out toward her with a huge smile on my face. Grandma Sadie also smiled, but it was a knowing smile. I see you found your little friend. You knew he came back? I asked. All the way from Jupiter? My astronaut friend said he started to glow right after takeoff. Then he started to shake,
then, poof, he disappeared. I think we just found another one of his superpowers. I won't know for sure until I check him out in my lab. But he looks a happy, healthy purple to me. I'd say he might be back to normal.
But won't he get sick again? I asked. Grandma Sadie said,
I have a theory.
What's that?
I asked. Give him a hug, she told me. I hugged him gently. Squeeze harder, Grandma Sadie said.
I squeezed a teeny bit harder.
Give him a real hug, she told me.
I gave Cosmo a real hug. Close and cozy and not too tight, but just right. Just like I used to do before he got sick. He gurgled in my arms. When I looked down at him, he was as purple as ever. His eyes were wide, his cheeks were rosy. He looked just like his old, healthy self. So, he's better now? I asked Grandma Sadie. How did that happen?
I noticed that his color started to return when you gave him a really big hug right before he got on the ship. Cosmo is a creature built from imagination, kindness, and love. Grandma Sadie said, sure, there's a little bit of space dust mixed in, but I believe that most of what makes him special comes from you. Your hugs are strong enough to match the gravitational pull of Jupiter.
So, he started to get sick when we were separated. And then I stopped giving him real hugs because I was afraid it would hurt him. I was so wrong, I said. I looked down at Cosmo. Poor little guy, I said. You were probably scared I'd stopped hugging you forever. But I would never do that. I promise. Cosmo gurgled happily. We hugged some more. There was a knock on the door. A knock I recognized. It went tap, 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 tap. My smile couldn't have been any bigger. I ran to let Claire in. 14. Things you get back. I tucked Cosmo under my arm, like a little slime football, and jogged to the door. Let's surprise her, Cosmo, I said. He gurgled happily, and I held him behind my back. Grandma Sadie's face broke into a smile. She shook her head and pulled open the door. Claire walked in with a somber face. I wanted to check in and see how you're doing without... Claire started, but then I held out Cosmo and she cut herself off. OMG, it's you, she said. Huh? I asked. Oh my goodness, hold up, she said. You made a new Cosmo? I thought you didn't have any space dust left. I don't have any left, I said. This is the same old, wonderful Cosmo. I don't understand, Claire said. The space shuttle took off for Jupiter do with my scooter? Claire asked. You got it back? I asked. I don't know how, but Uncle Ricky got it back from Mala before he went to the police, she said. He dropped it off with a super sweet note. You can leave your scooter right here in the front hall, Grandma Sadie said. She opened the door wider so Claire could come inside. He says he changed the wheels so it should be even faster. Want to take a ride on it today? Claire asked. We'd love that, wouldn't we, boy? I said. Cosmo gurgled and nodded his little purple slime head. There were footsteps behind us. Piper, Mother, Mom said, still in her sleep shirt. I'm ready to hear this strange story of yours. Oh, Claire, Piper, you have to ask before you invite friends over this early. I turned around. I didn't, I started. Whoa! Mom's eyes grew to twice their normal size. I looked down at Cosmo, cozily lying in the crook of my arm. He blinked his eyes. Well, what do you know? Grandma Sadie said. He stayed alive. Looks like our little friend here is getting a bit older. Dad walked into the room holding his morning coffee, but he quickly went from holding it to wearing it. Heck! Dad jumped back, spilling coffee all over his pajamas. Cosmo gurgled, and Dad's mouth fell open. Mom, Dad, this is Cosmo, I said. Cosmo, this is my mom and Dad. They didn't say anything. They just kept staring. Let me make some more coffee, Grandma Sadie said. Tom, Aaron, you two sit down. Piper, Claire, Cosmo, and I will explain everything. Then I gave Cosmo a big hug, and he hugged me too. SpaceX takes off. It's an exciting and sad moment when Piper watches a rocket blast off with Cosmo inside. On May 30, 2020, Americans watched a real-life spacecraft launch from Kennedy Space Center in Florida. Known as the Crew Dragon, its blastoff marked the first time the United States launched its own astronauts into space since 2011. A private company, SpaceX, worked with NASA, a government agency, to make the mission happen. The rocket is also notable because it was developed with technology that allows the rocket to be reused. On May 31, 2020, the two astronauts, Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley, arrived at the International Space Station, where they conducted research and performed tests before returning home.